Hey, it's the Chief bonding with board games and RPGs, and this is all about a miniature air war game, Air Raid 36 to 46. Boom, baby. All right, so first of all, it came in a nice box, so I don't have the box up here. It's got this laser etching on it, but the rule book, quite thick, tons and tons of pictures showing you ranges, short, medium, long, showing you special maneuvers. We're going to go in and take a closer look at the board or the map. There's a map kind of for the Pacific, although anything over water, so it could still be Europe. And then ground background, which again could be jungle or France. So you have a map depending on where you're fighting, but the rule book beautifully laid out. You have a very nice scenario book as well, also great layout, and 2 player aid cards that walk you through the very easy to learn with optional rules for your miniatures and the maneuvers that your P-38 is going to make, my favorite fighter, and then the combat that they're going to engage in. We'll pop away from me real quick. We'll get over top of the water map, and I will show you the Curtis P-40 and the A6M20 as they are on the map. Beautiful metal miniatures, by the way. These have not been painted, but these are 1/200th scale, and they're just stunning. We'll come back to that in the review, but I just called them stunning, so you have a pretty good idea about what I think of the miniatures themselves. All right, we're over top. So I'm going to slowly break things down. I'm going to bring in different pictures from the rule book as needed or as I think it'll help. But real quick, we have the card for the Curtis P-40 and we have the card for the Mitsubishi A6M2. Let me flip these real quick. And I'll go into more details about what's on the card here in a second. First things to look at here, and I'm going to bring on the P-38, my favorite fighter, just so you can see, get these out of the way, and maybe at an angle. If you can see around the base, so I don't shadow, there are these little chits. So these chits here cover rookie pilot, or if there's no chit at all, just the clear acrylic, then they're a normal pilot. Or this purplish color is a veteran pilot. You'll see these other smaller, they're about half the thickness. This would be a plane that had a single hit to it. This would be a plane with 2 hits. And what you can see on the P-38 is this is a veteran pilot that has taken a hit. So that is how those would be displayed, so you can just see them at a glance. Let me pull him back off so there's no confusion. The game, again, does come with these dice that'll be sitting here. You can see these little wooden discs. These discs would be after movement has occurred, and they denote that combat has not happened yet. As combat happens, you resolve it, you will pull the disc off. Combat is simultaneous, so even if this P-40 were to shoot down the 0, it would still be able to, if it was going head on, let's say it was something more like this would be better. So they would be shooting at each other, even if, boom, the P-40 got a good solid hit, shot down the 0, we would still resolve the 0's attack phase because they're, of course, closing on each other and shooting at each other. I've got this set up in a tailing position, which I will cover in a second. One other chit I hadn't explained, so we have our rookie, we have our veteran, we have our first hit, second hit, there's our combat chit. In the advanced rules or optional rules, there's a whole ton of them, but because there's a counter, this counter, if it were placed underneath the clear acrylic, would mean, if you were using this rule, that the plane would be at a different elevation. In the base game, you're all just on one elevation plane. So I'm zoomed in on the Mitsubishi A6M2. I love the edge or the border around the card with the American flag and that Japanese rising sun flag. Just a nice little touch. Real quick, coming in here with my pointer, you can see up in this area, those are combat values. So the first number is the plane with a rookie pilot, 260. then a normal pilot, 290, and then a veteran pilot, 350. So it's both like the cost of the actual plane or the combat value of the plane, along with the training of the pilot that's flying it. I want to point out 0 hits, 1 hit, and it cannot take 2 hits. So the 0 didn't have much armor on it at all, and it can get shot down much more easily. But you can also see if it takes a single hit, it's going to have reduced values that correspond with the speed, agility, firepower, and then the maneuver of a rookie or a normal pilot or a veteran pilot. And then you will have the special abilities that are listed in this area. So in this case, a veteran pilot can pull like a fancier scissors maneuver. And there are a list of maneuvers I'll show a little bit later, and I'll show some photographs of those maneuvers that are from the rule book. And they're all associated with these 3 categories here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me first talk about speed. So looking at speed right here, you can see, let's assume there's no hits to the plane. You can see there's speed 1 to 4 and speed 5 to 6. Well, when you're flying, you can always fly at either a normal speed or at a maximum speed. So if I was flying at a normal speed declared as I move into the movement phase, I could move the 0 1 hex. So you've seen the sheet that it's on, it could fly 1 hex. Minimum it has to. Obviously, it can't stand still. And a maximum of 4. But I can move 1, 2, 3, or 4. If I was moving at my maximum speed, I could go 5 or 6 hexes. So you can see the difference between my normal and my maximum. Now agility. Agility, the next one down, is that if I'm moving at a normal speed, I can then also turn 1 degree left or right after traveling at least 1 hex. Now, if I were moving at my maximum speed, I'm zooming along much quicker. I'm going to have to move not just 1 hex, but 2 before I can adjust my turn. Firepower, you see C, and that doesn't change in this case on either one. But let me pull up. If the P40 got hit a second time, you can see his firepower would go from a B to an A. So I'm going to show combat in a second, but if I were to get a hit, I would then go to the damage chart, and you can see that the damage is more likely to occur under a C than it is under a B. Now, under these color coordinations, so you've got that green, the blue, or kind of this red, which is that purple. The special maneuvers you can do, photo showing the list of those now, are available to you, but depending on the skill of the pilot for a particular plane, you have to roll 2 6-sided dice to see if you pull it off. So if I'm a rookie and I'm trying to do a barrel roll, if I'm moving at my normal speed, I need to roll a 7 on 2d6. If I'm going at my maximum speed, I need to roll a 9. So I'd come in, I got a 7. Hopefully, I was doing just my normal speed. You have to hit that number or above. And if you don't, your plane does kind of like the first part of the movement, and it doesn't achieve the actual special move, which of course can set you up for maximum failure. So you think you're going to, do a scissors maneuver, and whoops, nope, you failed at it. And you can see that if you're a normal pilot, my odds would have been a little bit better, 6, 8 at maximum, or if I'm a veteran pilot, 5 and 7 respectively. You can also see that as the plane gets damaged, so does my ability to pull off these special maneuvers. Just coming right over to the single hit, and here we go. You can see it's going to be harder by 1 to pull off these maneuvers depending on the type of pilot I have flying. And it's a very nice touch. It's all on one card. You have the card out for the particular plane. You might have 4 of these planes on the table, and you're simply looking at the particular plane, bringing this in here, obviously not the match, but you can see there's a veteran pilot, and that veteran pilot has 1 hit. But it's a very simple way to glance at the table, glance at the battle, and then reference your particular card to see how does this plane deal with X? How does that plane deal with what it's doing? The last thing to show is this special ability. So you can see there's a list, and in the rulebook it explains what each one does. So the special ability is the Emergency Boost 2 that this plane can do, or, and I really love this, I'm not going to say it right, but there's a more complicated scissors move, Hiniri Komi is maybe how it's said, but only a veteran pilot can pull off this fancier scissors maneuver. So the card is extremely helpful, keeps your table cluttered down, and makes everything intuitive and fluid. Let's pretend I've got a Flying Tiger P40 here that's going head-to-head with a Zero. Probably not the smartest thing, but we're going to show the combat going here. In this case, the first thing that would happen would be we would determine initiative. Whoever loses initiative has to go first. You want to be able to react to your opponent. So when you lose the initiative, you have to go first, and then your opponent gets to react to you. Now, when you do this die roll, it's a 2d6, but you get to factor in veteran or rookie pilot. In this case, both of them are considered just normal. We don't have any chits on them. But again, if we did have some chits, the veteran would get a +1 to their die roll, and the rookie would get a penalty of a -1. Now, it is important that I show tailing. So there's a little photo I'm going to have come up here. It's clear as a bell I'm tailing here, but all these other hexes would come in, factor in as well. When you're tailing, even if I lose the initiative roll, now you got to remember, I probably got more than one fighter plane on this map. I'm probably fighting with at least 3. So my other planes may not be tailing, and if I lost the initiative, they're going to have to go first. But if I looked on the map and I said, hey, this guy here, Chenault, is tailing this Zero, he will actually not have to go first because he's in that commanding position. Going back to a non-tailing position, we'll cover head-to-head here just for this example. Zero is moving first. He's going to decide, is his plane doing normal or maximum speed? He would declare that, and then he would do his moves. So let's say he's doing a normal speed move. So normal, we know he can go 1 to 4 hexes, and then we're going to have a combat in here as well. And I want him to just go 1 hex. We could have him turn because he's an agile plane. If he wanted to, he could also turn in this manner, but I'm going to have him moving directly at this P40. And we would throw a little chit on here just to show that they're going to be doing combat and that I've moved him. Again, just to keep this quite simple, we're going to do the exact same thing. And now they are nose to nose, more for my video camera than for any kind of tactical situation. So as we move to combat, remember, combat is simultaneous. I'm going to do the A6M2 first. We're going to have to determine the base to hit number. It is 6. It's always 6. You can see it on the upper right-hand corner there. But now we have to add in some modifiers. We have short range. They are nose to nose. So short range means +1. Now I'm adding this to the base to hit number. So I've just gone from 6 to 7 because of the range. Next, what clock position am I in? Well, they're both closing in on each other at the 12 o'clock position. That's a 0. It's not going to change the base to hit number. It's still a 7. Now, one thing that caught me off guard is this plane is just normal. But if he was a veteran, I would, when I rolled to hit my base number, I would get to add 1 if he's a veteran. So I need to get 7 or higher in order to hit. Then I'm going to check damage. If he was a rookie, I would -1 off my die roll. So this is not off that base to hit number. I've already determined that. It started at 6. We're at short range +1 to 7. We are coming in at the 12 o'clock position. That's a 0. So it's 7 to hit. I don't have a veteran. I don't have a rookie. So no bonus to the die roll. It's just a straight die roll in this case. And I need to get a 7. And Wow, there we go, an 8. So he would have a hit. Perfect. So next, I'm going to go in and determine damage. Now, we know that the damage, or the firepower for the 0, is a C. There's a photo coming up now that's showing you that chart. Now, again, if I had a veteran, I would add 1 to this die roll, or if I had a rookie, I would -1. We're normal. There's neither of those chits are there, so it'll be a straight roll, firepower C. You can see from the chart, if I get snake eyes, it's going to be a miss. But the idea that I get snake eyes is going to be rare. And 4, 5. So I have a 5. I would cross-reference across the chart you're seeing now. You can see it's in the brown. That's 1 hit. So I would go grab one of these, and it would go on him. I would probably set it next to him because, remember, combat simultaneous, so he's not going to have any modifiers at this point. They're both shooting at each other. But I might do something like set it off to the side just so I remember, hey, he's got a hit. I'm going to add that into him after he does his combat. And that's it. So the trickiest thing on the combat is you got to remember the veteran and rookie phases or penalties and bonuses don't apply to your base hit number. It applies to your dice being rolled. And it applies for initiative, it applies for your chance to hit, and it applies to the damage in regards to your rookie, your normal, or your veteran. All right, we're back. I just did a quick little overview, very simplified combat, I know. Very simplified movement, I know. It's enough to know kind of the mobility of the plane, of the type of plane is present. It's been taken into account and placed on the card. The firepower, same. The amount of damage the plane can take, again, same. And how it degrades the plane. The abilities of the pilots as far as rookie, veteran, or normal. And then some of the special abilities. And within that, the special little maneuvers you can do as you're zooming probably multiple planes around the battle space. So let's start with the minis. Unbelievable. The quality is what you would expect coming out of Germany. I just love these. I'm not a painter. I'm terrible at painting. Even when I put models together, plastic models as a kid, the painting part was where I would fall off. I would do it, but it took me quite some time. So I'm not a painter, but if you're looking for minis, oh my God, these are awesome. I played B-17 Queen of the Skies board game, love it. I found from a whole different system some 1/200th scale airplanes, and I actually had a buddy paint them. These are just beautiful. So I've already done an unboxing where it kind of zooms in on them more. Please go see that if you haven't. But you're not going to be displeased with the metal miniatures at all. I think some people will buy them just for the metal miniatures. So let's go into the cards and the rules. The cards are fabulous. There's nothing better than, hey, I've got, 3 P40s out there, and maybe I'm running a flight of 3 P38s as well. Who knows what's going on? But I've only got 2 cards. And the rest of the information, whether they've been hit or if they're a veteran pilot or a rookie or they're normal, is all on the plane. So I can look at my battle space and assess. And then, the beauty of maneuvers that are in space anyway is being able to look at it and then adjust based on what the battle space is doing. And of course, that's what this game is doing. And then you just need to decide, am I doing normal speed, in which case I know what my turning radiuses are, how far do I move forward before I can turn, how far can I move forward total, or do I need to go maximum speed, at which case I'm zooming away from something or zooming towards something, but now my maneuverability is going to be cut, and the attachment of all the special maneuvers that have to be there for a World War II air miniatures game. Perfect. What I really like is the simplicity of the cards. the die roll. I got tricked up on one thing. I had to read it a couple times. And I covered it when we were looking over top. You're doing your base to hit number, starts at 6. You do not factor in the pilot's skill level there. That is going to be on your roll. And they tell you that. My muddled brain, I started at one point adding it in, thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. And then I thought, oh, yeah. That's at the die roll. So you're doing the modifications for, are you coming in at 6? Are you coming in head to head, 12 o'clock? What's its range? So you just got to remember, when you're figuring out your hit chance, it's your range to the target, the angle of attack on the target. And then when you go to roll your dice and you're hitting that number or above, that's when if you have a pilot modifier, you're adding it to the dice. And then, of course, if you hit, now you're going to add again. If you have a veteran, you're going to get a +1. You've got a chance to do more damage, and you're looking at the firepower section of your card. And it works extremely well. And then how much damage can a plane absorb? Perfect. All again, right on the card. Simplicity. Your focus is not on your cards, although you can see them, and there's only 1 or 2 out there for you, but it's really on your planes and your maneuver space. So I wanted to go over some of the different optional rules. I've already showed the difference in altitudes. You can have 2 altitudes. So not only can you have different ones, but you can be changing your altitude. You have a movement phase. The movement is divided into 2 sub-phases. I didn't do this, but you got to know that you can get a little more granular on your movements. You can have 2 sub-movement phases. Exchange of fire can be dependent on pilot skill. This is probably a good idea, but you can see where this adds, again, a little bit more granularity. So the idea would be that a veteran is probably going to be able to snap off some shots a little bit quicker, maybe even simultaneously, whereas a rookie, they may be pulling that trigger a little late, and they'll be going later in the turn order. Again, optional. You can have weather rules. You can have clouds, so you can go up and get lost in a cloud or run to the clouds. And then we move into the scenarios. There's a scenario in here. So you can add in some more granularity. I want these 2 different altitudes as I'm looking around and seeing, or I know this particular plane likes to zoom from altitude, hit, and then use that speed to climb back up at altitude. That's a tactic. I want to be able to use it. You can go to the optional rules and bring those in. So I think you know right now, there's folks that love miniatures games. You're going to love the miniatures. They're gorgeous, wonderful. There's folks that love painting minis. You'll love painting these. There's folks that like air war games. I think you're going to like that because those cards out on the table and then the visual display of these beautiful miniatures is just going to bring that in where you're feeling like you're engaging in said air war. So I think it's going to hit on multiple levels. They also, meaning the company, are getting ready to come out with more expansions that are going to cover some heavy bombers. Hello. There's some other things in there. I'll throw it in the comments because I can't remember now under the pressure, but there's more things coming. Go to their website, popping up on the screen now, to find out more details if you're interested. And like the P-38, the fork-tailed devil. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs. See ya. Bye.